Welcome to the show, everyone. This is the Voices of Healing podcast. I'm your host, Tina Clark. I'm a shamanic Reiki master teacher. And today's guest is Kanika Vasudeva. She is a consciousness coach and she works with parents and healing parents. And she's just a wonderful person and actually a student of mine in shamanism. So I would like to welcome her to the show. Welcome, Kanika.
Thanks a lot, Tina. It is so glad to be doing this podcast.
Yeah, so Kanika is very intuitive, very gifted, and she focuses on working with parents. So healing the parents so we can become better parents. And all that is family ancestral healing, really. And so tell us a little bit more about yourself and how your background and how you got into this work.
Oh, my background. So I'm an engineer and I'm an MBA professional. My background, very, very black and white, um, very black and white. Something has to happen. There's a cause and effect. And it's like just literally one thing that can happen because that was the cause, very linear thinking. And I was going on through with this. I was doing, I suppose, whatever is the normal in the world. That's how I was growing up and progressing through my career as well. My mid 30s is when I felt that I was just feeling very disconnected with myself. I was increasingly burnt out, but just not even happy in my life. That time I was pregnant with my daughter, and I spoke to people I knew, and they said, well, this is the mid 30s crisis, or like this happens. And someone suggested meditation. So I tried that, but it was very hard to quiet my mind. It's very hard to not think. I managed 2 minutes, for example, but my world did not change. So early on, my experience with meditation was just that, okay, I cannot calm my mind. But then one day when I woke up, I did not feel my daughter moving inside me. I went to the doctors. I was told that there was no heartbeat. She was 31 weeks old by that time in my womb. So I had to give birth to her. And that whole time period was just very hard because I prepared her nursery, I prepared her bassinet. We'd been thinking, how would I be raising her along with my little one as well at the time. It was very different not having her, still having her clothes there and just all the things there. It was very hard, very hard cremating. Yeah. So this was all physical things that now I had to deal with. Earlier, when I had some sort of stress or trauma, it wasn't visible in the physical world, right? Like I felt it. I felt unhappy. I would be crying a lot. But I could somehow numb myself to it. I'd listen to a video, talk to a friend, run away from it. This wasn't something that I could run away from. So I think life just had to really pull me like this. And this is what got me started into energy healing and the Akashic records as well, because I just had to find a way to connect with my daughter. I was just so guilty then. I was just not able to move on because I kept thinking, well, if I have lost her, what is it that I've done wrong? And I really needed to speak with her, connect with her. And this is again from that black and white background. And I did not even have a clue on how to do this, but I knew that I needed to be in touch with her. And so that's when I found another teacher who helped me get into energy healing, and I connected with my daughter. And here's what I learned. She said that this was my soul contract with her. At the physical plane, it feels really hard that I had to go through this whole experience. But I'd asked for it. I had said that if I'm wasting this lifetime again, then I want her to come and kick me so that I wake up. And this is what she did. So I just want to tell all the listeners as well, anyone who's going through a tough time, and maybe you feel very sad, overwhelmed like I did, But do know that whatever feels very hard, there is a lesson, there's an evolution that's waiting for you. Try and think of it in terms of what is it that your soul wants you to learn, and ask that question. And then you'll get that guidance as to what is that higher purpose coming there.
Yeah, so this oftentimes I feel like death can like kickstart a spiritual awakening. Because if we lose a loved one, we start thinking about the meaning of life and what is the point of it all, and is there really a higher power? Is there really life after death? And I went through a similar thing when my father passed away when I was really young. But so you ended up working with energy healing. It really helped you connect with your daughter and the Akashic record. So what are you doing now? Like, how do you help your clients now?
Well, for me, because my journey started with her, I continued to work, not in energy healing or anything, but just my normal work. I used to work as a project manager, continued doing that with the corporates and so on. And it was coming to a point where I had this parallel life and I wanted to do more of this work. And then as I started thinking about the work that I really want to do, because I can see how transformative it has been for me, life's really shifted from that point where I was very unhappy, where I was thinking, well, where I was just very unhappy. And I did not even know that happiness or peace existed. That's what people around me told me as well, that you grow up and just life's just not that fun anymore. And I can see from there that my life's a lot more fun, that life flows a lot easy, that I'm able to easily attract things that I want. And that's what I wanted to do for other people as well. But my heart, my soul really is in parenting, because that's where I feel I got my biggest lessons. And that's where my light is for the world as well. Because when we can heal as parents, we are bringing up our kids from a much more whole place as well. So imagine thinking that, oh, right now you are battling these fears of, well, maybe I'm not lovable the way I am. Maybe I'm not okay the way I dress. My body is not okay. I'm not enough. I'm not capable enough of having that business venture and so on. Imagine if you could heal that, or even just start healing that, and raise your child from that story, even if you haven't fully healed yourself. But imagine the foundation that you've given to them. That's the gift. And um, the blessing that I want to share in the world as well, because it would just be such a humbling and just such a great experience to have this next generation of kids who are not struggling with lack issues or that mindset, those limits like we have today.
Yeah, so can you give us some examples of how it's helped your clients and, maybe some good success stories on how this can really help parents and children and families in general?
Yep. Let's talk about a couple, and maybe I'll begin with my story. So, I separated from my ex when my son was about 4 years old. And this is just the time when I was even learning all of this stuff. I wasn't a pro at it, like really just a beginner level. And I was trying to understand separation. I really wanted to make it peaceful for the sake of our son. It was a very toxic separation. It wasn't good by any means. But just whatever I was learning, I was applying that to my parenting space. And even the first few months of our separation, they went from this really toxic place to be able to come to a place where it was okay. We were able to have conversations together. We were able to celebrate birthdays together. We could even do sometimes on the weekends together, so that our son could feel that his world was not as disjointed and as separated between two houses. So if I look back and I think, oh my gosh, that was just such a big transformation from where I was, like just those every day, every minute fights where we could not stand each other for 1 second. And then to be able to do that in a span of 4 months, That was just phenomenal. Um, One thing my son told me at that time was, he's like, Mom, so why are you not living with dad anymore? And I'm like, well, because we don't really get along very well. And he's like, no, but I remember you used to fight, but you don't fight anymore. Like now you are good friends. You can live with him now. But it's just an example of how he felt that we had transformed in the relationship. It's a good validation. I can give you other stories. Now I'll come to my client stories. One of my good ones is around a dad. He is co parenting with the daughter's mom. And they had a time when the daughter was 6 years old, daughter was with him, and the daughter fell down. Now, at 6 years old, he wasn't really expecting her to fall down. So he was with her, but he sort of did not watch out. You don't expect that she's going to be standing and then suddenly she's going to fall down, but she just fainted and she had a concussion. They got it checked. She was okay. But the mom decided to take action. And the mom wrote him a long legal letter and she wanted full custody of the daughter now, saying that, okay, from now on, you're not going to get any time with her. Like those were the charges that she was filing. And this is what she was very willing to fight for. This is a legal letter that he got. And that is when he approached me and he was like, well, can we do something energetically so that it's not a long, drawn out legal battle? And I just looked at their energy. I looked at his energy and grounded and healed that energy, because what is going on in his space, if he's attracting something like this, it's got to start with him. We have that connection to bring whatever outside experience is happening. We are vibrating in that. So he did that. So we did that and cleared that energy. Then I cleared the energy between him and his daughter, cleared off some of the energetic disturbances in there, some of the ancestral patterns, some of the past lives that were impacting that space as well. And got a lot of healing, got a lot of the angels just to hold space for him and make it a loving, enjoyable sanctuary so that they enjoy each other's company. And then I got the mom as the spirit to just watch that space so that she could see it, not from an ego space, but she could really see it from a spirit space and just see that the daughter needs the dad as well. She might not like the dad, that's a different thing, but the daughter wants the dad. And that already was shifting the whole energy too much. And then I got all three of them together and just cleared the whole space for all three of them so that they can have a nice, balanced co parenting space. So this was a short 1 hour session. Next day he goes, he drops his daughter off. And so she walks up to him and she says, well, I was just thinking about it. And I think that maybe the legal letter went a little bit too far. Maybe we can just see it for some time and I don't need to do any action like this for now, which was just amazing because just a few days before she was totally fuming and she was like, well, you're never going to do this and you're never going to take her outside my house anymore. You will come and meet her in my house. So it was just such a different story and such a great outcome. So those are the shifts that people feel within parenting. Other times when I help my clients is I help them connect with their lost ones. Because of my background, I do tend to attract a lot of people who've lost their kids. So I think it's just a great honor to be able to support them through that. For parents, especially for parents who are grieving, for them to be able to connect with their kids, know that they are okay, get the messages from the kids, and have that connection where they can just continually touch base with them. They feel like they've not lost them. That is just such a big closure.
So,
And
I just have a question about the couple with the custody issues. Can you get more into or describe more into detail about the ancestral or the past life issues that were impacting their relationship?
yeah, so with him. So we can have a lot of limits that are on us. The limits could be either what we have in this lifetime that's really playing out. The limits can be the limits that we have from our ancestors and the limits that we could have from our past lives. And you probably know this better than anyone else, Tina. But
I do, and I have a lot of my old stories, but this is about you, so I would like to hear your stories.
um, but think of all of these interferences as perhaps like, your soul has a mold, like, or a blueprint where the soul operates from, which is all that divine light and your highest vibration. And then as you keep going through these traumatic experiences, this is where you gather some scars on that blueprint. So it's like a little bit more of the dark energy comes there, and you're not operating from your divine blueprint so much. So in his scenario, when I looked at the ancestor energy, there was just a whole lot of tradition and just how things have to be that was coming up for him. We There was anger from the ancestors that he had broken up. There were anger from the mother's ancestors as well, that they had broken up, that marriage is sacrosanct, you cannot let it go. So there was a whole lot of limits there. So we first worked with those ancestors. And typically in my readings, I do at least 4 generations, and I heal back at least those 4 generations so that we're not carrying any of those limits with us. 4 to 7, but at least 4 I'll clear up. So that's what we looked at. Those were the main things that were coming from the ancestors. There was anger from them. And there was this thing of how things had to be, and you cannot be different from that. So once we started talking, we brought all so how I did this was I got all the ancestors in a circle. First circle being the 1-up generation, second circle being the 2-up generation, both sides, his mom and his dad, because ultimately that's what you're bringing along. And we also gathered the mom's mom and dad side as well. So that's how those circles were made. And then we just performed ceremonies with fire so that we were able to clear those limits from the space and let those go. So that was in terms of the ancestors, the main things that were coming up from the ancestors. From his past life, he'd had a history of not being loved, like a history of always being the warrior, history of always being the savior. And there was a part of him that also rejoiced in winning. And the winner sometimes, also for the big win, you also want to lose more so that you're able to win more. Like if it gets really bad and then you win more. So that was the archetype that he had, where things had to fall down. They had to be really bad. And this was a repeating theme in his life, not just with his daughter, but with a lot of the other things. Like things would go really bad, then he would bring them up. And this is the past life pattern that he was operating from as a warrior, because he had really held a lot of pride in just being a good warrior, of going out, conquering, and where others had failed, that he'd gone out and conquered. So this is how that was materializing in this lifetime, that let's just make the issues a lot bigger and then we'll solve them.
So interesting. And then you garner all this information by reading their energy fields?
I tune into the Akashic records.
Mm-hmm.
And my intention is always that whatever is the highest good for them, whatever information I need to know, that comes up. So typically in a session, I don't really know what order it's going to be and how it's going to flow, but I was tuning into the Akashic records. And through his records, I was also tuning into the daughter's Akashic records and into the Akashic records of his ex.
Mm. So when you tune into the Akashic records, is it just psychic information coming through, or are you actually... I've done some Akashic reading, so I will go to the Akashic library and take out their soul book. Is is that how you do it, or?
That's what I do as well. Like I'll tune in, I'll go into their typically I just open the portal, and then for me, I'm more a clairvoyant. So yes, I could go in, I could open the book and I could see it, whatever chapter it is, but I do it in different ways. Like I play, but a lot of times for me, the information will just start coming. Sometimes I'm a clairvoyant, so I just start getting visuals, and I will a lot of times not understand what that is about, but I'll just go, oh, okay, what is this person doing? And why is he jumping like this? Why is he going in the water? Or whatever that is. But I'll just follow the story, and that's how the whole thing will play out. But for me, it's like a movie scene. Just not as clear as a movie, like it's just one hand will show, and then as I start looking at the hand, and the whole hand and the whole body will show. But that's how it happens. I don't really have a process. Like I've been taught ways, but I think I've done it long enough, so it just comes as it comes. And I also feel that the more I relax, the better my channel is, because I bring in a lot more information than if I was controlling it in terms of this is the process, this is step one, this is step
Mm-hmm.
two. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't do it like that anymore now.
Yeah, so you do more a intuitive approach, which is great. Is really how you should do it.
I just allow whatever to come in, and that's where sometimes I'll see some gods, goddesses. I'll see Mother Mary, or whoever is coming in. And typically, the ones that I will see, the archangels, I'll see. Sometimes I will not know them, but I'll say, this is the one that I'm seeing for you. This is the name that I'm getting for you, and they'll go like, "Yeah, I was just doing this yesterday," or "This is the one that I really follow." So it's the more I let myself take the backstage in
Yeah.
this, the better it is.
Yeah, because you're really just a messenger. So this doesn't mean anything to you. You just
Yeah.
need to relay what you're seeing and feeling and hearing. It means something to them. And sometimes they don't even know what it means at the time. And later they'll come back and go, oh, I know why you saw that.
Yeah. My job is just to be the channel. The Akashic readings and healings that I do, they're very reading oriented, but they're also healing. About 15 minutes is reading, and then the rest 45 minutes is healing, which is how I just absolutely love it. Roughly, that's the time duration. And then it's just amazing, because when I sit back and I just observe how they're doing the healing, it is phenomenal, because I get to learn things. I get to see things like, oh, okay, you could have a block here at your lower back for this and this, or this is also how you could heal. Sometimes they'll bring in a special colored flame. Sometimes it'll be a pyramid, or it's just amazing when I can sit back and just allow it to happen, because it's so much fun, and it's also a lot more empowering, a lot more transformative than if I was to do it.
Yeah. So I want to go back to some of the limits that your client was experiencing. And you mentioned, I don't know if you mentioned this word, but I'm thinking shoulds, all the shoulds that we have and how that can really impact everything. I just interviewed a guest for the show named Lori Clemens, and she had so many health issues. And she realized her nervous system was completely dysregulated. Like she was, impacted by things that other people just didn't impact them. And her way of healing, like 27 years of being ill, is she was very obsessed with shoulds. I should do this, and I need to do this, and I have to do this. And she realized she needed to respect her body and her feelings more. And like through a better diet and doing art and just being aware of how these shoulds were stressing her out, she healed herself, because she realized that she was in that flight or fight mode because of her nervous system. And the only way to get out of that is to be really kinder and nicer and gentler and more aware of what she needed from moment to moment. And a lot of these traditions, there's a lot of rules.
Yeah.
You need to do this, and you need, in the Asian culture, you need to honor your society, honor your ancestors. Dishonor is the worst thing. you know you need to obey your ancestors without question. You need to do what you're told. And all of that is just, it really is not helpful anymore. We need to break out of these chains of the shoulds and the traditions.
Yeah. And energetically, where I see all the shoulds sitting in us, so that's just the root chakra. All the shoulds, all our limits, they just sit there. And we say that in our English language as well. Like we always say, well, what is the root of the issue? That is the
Mhm.
root chakra. We know it, like somewhere we know it. That's why we're using those words. And all the other limits from our ancestors and so on, typically when I see them, when we stand on the ground and when I look at the ancestral limits, the structures, the traditional rules, even the country rules, what you have to follow,
Mhm.
all of those, they're almost like sometimes circular, sometimes with other lines and so on. But as you stand, like just around your feet, there's like layers of circles and intersections and things in between, almost like an older circular city map. That's how they stand. That's how I see them. That's
Mhm.
the patterns that we operate from. Those are the limits that we operate from. Um, that's how I see them energetically. But the more and more you start clearing them, which is amazing what this lady was doing as well, because when you start clearing them, when we start working with our body, we start healing. This our root chakra is really around us believing in us. It is I am enough. So for me to be enough, for me to just feel safe, I just have to be okay with me. I have to be okay with how my body is, how I look, however I do something, or maybe I've taken up arts, somebody else wanted me to study science or something, but we have to be okay with us. That's the root. This is also where we enter into the physical world. We come out of the root chakra, like this is how our birth happens. So for us to be able to be born, well, we're born, but for us to be able to claim our place on earth, we really have to own our root chakra. We have to let go of the shoulds. We have to plant ourselves and seed ourselves and go, okay, this is who I am and how I am with my different looking nose or different interests, weird body, whatever that is, that is okay. And we have to claim that space for ourselves, which is really what this lady did. So admiration for her.
Yeah, and this is a good example of how if we work on ourselves, it impacts everybody around us. Like I have heard, if you have a difficult person in your life, instead of sending them, all of this negativity, send them love, wish them well, pray that they get the help that they need or the comfort that they need, that they deserve to be happy. And that can change things. If that
Totally.
right, that person may have been hostile to you, but on a soul level and unconscious level, they receive that loving energy. And that changes them and then how they see you. They may not
Yeah.
even know what's happening.
Yes. And this is what we did in the healing as well. So, because it'll just help drive the examples. The ex was really angry, upset. She wanted to get revenge, so to speak. And what we did was we just gave her love instead. And there's a bucket of love, or there's a bucket of energy that we all need. When you fill that cup, then they're done. And she's done after that because energetically, it was just unconditional love that was transferred to her, that was given to her. And there's a whole bucket flowing, it's not finishing up or anything. When you get so much of love, it's hard to be angry because you're just filled with that. Yeah, I wish more and more people could understand that. But I think sometimes they get confused. It feels like, oh, if I'm loving someone, it means that I am okay with their actions, or she did something so mean to me. Why can I love them? And uh, I think where we get confused is the definition of love. To me, love is not like, hey, I love you. Love is not like, okay, I am so attracted to you. I want to be in a relationship with you. Love is not any of that. Love, if I think, is more, an example would be perhaps the sun or the earth. Like, we don't get up and wonder if the sun is going to be there or not. Like, the sun's there, the earth is there. Love is unconditional. Love is not thinking whether your hair's done up, whether you're doing a particular job. Love is not wondering and judging you. Love is just present. And that's all that you're doing with someone else. You're just saying, okay, I'm here, I see you. And sometimes you even see them in their darkness. But all that you're saying is, okay, I see you. And yes, your shade is a lot darker than I would like. But okay, so I'm not going to dance with you. But I hold love. And the love is all that goes out. I'm just not going to dance with you. That's it. It does not mean anything else. And maybe there's someone else who is a lot more in light, so you'll engage, you'll dance with them a lot more. But that's all that love is. It's just that, okay, I'm going to hold the light for you. Now you can come, you can have it. You cannot have it, that's okay. But I'm just going to hold the light for you. And I see you as you, even the darkness. And I'm not going to get triggered by it.
Yeah. It's a really, really hard thing to do to send love to someone that is, maybe attacking you or making you miserable or all of that, but it's actually pretty effective. Have you ever heard of Hopo Ono Ono?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I love the prayer, and I had, I think, the hardest moments with it as well, like especially the part around I forgive you, I love you. Like, what do you mean? I don't love you. I don't I don't love the energy that you where you were mean to me. Yeah, so I totally understand that it feels very hard. And this is where I've come to in terms of loving. Sometimes it can be very hard that, oh, I love you, so I'm going to send you unconditional love. I just connect them with the earth and the sun. And everybody who's living is on this planet. So you can connect them with the earth and the sun. And I just ask them to fill them in with unconditional love. So I don't have to do it. But what the earth and the sun can do is they can fill him up or her with unconditional love and light. And I can just enjoy that. I can just watch that shift their energy. Mm.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to come from you. But
Yeah.
it's really because the reality is we love is, really the only reality and the only
Mhm.
truth.
Yeah.
And we just forget that because, we're in our little dramas and our little, our
Yeah.
little triggers and whatever it is. But really, like, it's love that's the foundation of everything.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head. We operate from lack. The world is wired right now with lack. 3D is lack. 3D is controlled, that vibration. When we feel like, hey, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough love, or I need to control someone so that they do this thing right, I need to control a situation, because that's the place that we are operating from. How you shift your own reality is you bring it to love. And you go like, okay, I'm not going to control, I'm just going to trust, I'm going to be in the flow. That's the main difference between 3D and 5D, that I'm
Hmm.
just going to trust whatever is happening is working out for me. And I'm just sending and I'm receiving love and light, and I'm just sending love and light as well.
Yeah, which is
But it
very hard to do.
which can be hard to follow, and it can be hard to do. But For me, the approach that works is just connecting it with other celestial bodies and not doing it myself. So I take it a little bit away. That's how I teach my clients and my students as well. And,
Yeah.
everybody's on a journey. I'm on my
Or
journey as well.
right. Or having like the angels handle it.
Yeah.
I have so many clients and students says, I don't know how to do that. I can't see that or feel that. And I said, ask your angels to handle it for you. Say, angels, please help this person, please help this being into the light, help surround them in love. You don't have to do it yourself. You know that it's there, and then you ask for help. That's what the angels are for, is
Yeah.
to help
I
you.
think I think we forget the power of our words. We forget the power of our
Hmm.
intention, that it can just be that strong because we've just been so wired into thinking, oh, I'm not enough, I'm not capable of this. But our words, our intention, that's what makes us the creators in the world. We have to
Yes.
honor our own words and our own intention a lot more because it's worth so much more. It
Yeah.
changes everything.
Your words are very powerful, and you can speak things into existence. And
We
that's the
create.
power of ceremony, which we were talking off the recording about ceremony. For me, is speaking what I want to happen, my intentions out loud.
Yeah, like we are maybe not consciously aware of that, but every time we say, we think something else, if that parallel universe does not exist, it comes into existence. We just don't know it. We're not aware of it. But that's how powerful we are. Like we bring entire universes into creation. And in that parallel universe, let's say I wanted to have a situation where I am with my ex and we have a better relationship. Even just me thinking that will have me there, will have him there, will have all the other key characters there as well. Like, imagine how powerful my thought is. Everyone's thought is.
And here's even to up level that
Okay.
is when you speak for the benefit of all, not just yourself. So, for example, one of my favorite prayers is when I get in the car. When you drive, it could get dicey. You don't know what's this person's gonna do, and some people out there not so great drivers. And so, before I get in the car, I do a little prayer. So I ask for the most beneficial outcome for all drivers and animals on the road today, asking that only the most positive, beneficial things happen. And once I do that, everything's fine. I'm protected, other people are protected, the animals are protected, and I let it go and I don't worry about it anymore.
That's so cool because we think that we are the only ones, but the angels, all the light beings, they're all here to help us. They all want Earth to progress. We're just not as aware of them. So, when with your words and intentions, you're tuning into them, you're really calling all the big forces out there, like much, much, much bigger than you, creators of this universe, like people who can shapeshift, people who can do something multiverses, people who have formed the earth, those beings, we call them as well. And then they're able to hold that space because we're giving them permission and we're asking them that, hey, I need your help and help me do this. So
Yeah.
it's just absolutely amazing.
And then
Um,
and it's a relationship. So with the elementals, help them, create a beautiful garden, pick up the trash, be respectful in the forest.
yeah,
It's
give
all
and
those
receive.
things. Right. So it's a
It's
relationship.
It's a balance. You can't
Hmm.
expect to receive unless you've given. You've got to give as well. What is
Right.
it that you're giving out? So, like with your ex or with anyone, if you are actually giving them bad vibrations or when you feel with them, whatever you feel with them is upsetting you inside, well, the receiving is going to be the exact opposite as well. You're going to have that. So, it sounds very selfish or not selfish, but it sounds very much like, well, how can I love the other person because this is what they've given? Because when you are changing your inner flow, this is your inner flow. You are saying, okay, I'm only going to give out love. Outer flow will change. What you receive will change. What is it that you're giving out? That is what you will get back.
Yeah, and this is why it works. It's because we're connected and we are not separate from anyone or any animal or any tree. And
Yeah,
so that's why it works. Because when you're
totally.
giving love, you are giving love to yourself.
Yeah, we're the seed. We're the ones who are the creators as well. So, what is it that we are emanating out? What is the energy that we are
Right.
holding?
Exactly. So think about the energy that you are putting out there and you're give and think about that coming back to you. Do you really want that type of energy coming back to you? No.
Totally. Great point.
Yeah. So we really got deep into it. But to summarize, we really are just multidimensional beings. There's many factors affecting us, and through the Akashic records, it will reveal, the ancestors and the limitations, and then to clear that energy so we can go back to that love blueprint, our original love blueprint. And that's what Kanika does.
Thank you
So
so much, Tina.
So, Kanika, can you share your website and any projects, books, anything that you have going on right now?
Yep. So my website is artoflifecenter.com. It is art of life center center.com. And that's where when you go there, you'll also find a bunch of freebies. One of my favorite ones that I have right now is soul contracts in parenting. So that takes us through understanding why do we have our kids? What's our story with our kids really? Why do we have them? What's really going on behind their triggers? What is your role in their life? Like what I learned with my son early on was that there was a time where I would feel like, hey, why does he not want to do things as much as other kids? Like he sort of was not as curious around learning some things or just doing them by himself. What I learned was that in one of his past lives, he had just started working as a child around the age of 3 or 4. And so he was just over and done with it. And he's like, you know what? I'm just not going to become responsible because I just want to really stay the kid in this lifetime. So it was very interesting to know that story. And then, of course, what I did with that was I just told him spiritually that, hey, you can have all this fun as well, but look how much more fun we'd be able to have if you can do like a little bit more grown up fun. Like we can go karting, we can, do all the other adventure stuff if you start learning more. And so that's how we got into learning and we actually worked through it at the spiritual level, but things just transformed, changed on a physical level. So that's the freebie that I have for the listeners here. It is at artoflifecenter.com/parent. And this is where I walk you through very simple, short audio series. And you'll understand your soul contracts with your child, your karmic patterns with your child, and you'll get to rewire it. You'll get to reframe them so that you can operate from a new story, whatever it is, that shift that you want in your life. And then I can be found on Instagram or YouTube at Kanika Energy Coach. Reach out to me with any questions. I'd love to be able to chat with you and just have some fun together.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Kanika, for offering that freebie on your website. So definitely check that out, and all that information will be in the show notes. So thank you so much for being you, really, and sharing your stories.
Thank you so much, Tina. I can say the same for you as well. I love the work that you do, love that you allow us all to just be grounded, to have a lot more light, to help the world and get helped as well in turn. So thanks for holding that light for all of us.
Thank you.